In the complex world of international trade, tariffs are like border walls for goods. They are taxes imposed on products imported from other countries. Governments use tariffs for various reasons. Sometimes, they aim to protect domestic industries from foreign competition. Other times they might use tariffs as a bargaining chip in trade negotiations. Regardless of the motive, one thing is certain: tariffs have consequences. They can impact consumers, businesses, and the overall economy. Understanding what tariffs are and how they work is crucial for grasping the current trade landscape. The recent actions by the Trump administration have ignited a new trade war, sending shockwaves through the global economy. In February 2025, President Trump announced a fresh round of tariffs on imports from Mexico, Canada, and China. These tariffs target a wide range of goods. For Mexico, a sweeping 25% tariff has been imposed. Canada faces a 10% tariff on most goods, with energy imports specifically hit with a 10% levy. China, already embroiled in a trade dispute with the United States, faces an additional 10% tariff on its goods. The stated objectives of these tariffs are multifaceted. The administration claims they will curb the flow of fentanyl and illegal immigration from Mexico. They also aim to pressure Canada and China into concessions during trade negotiations. However, the timing of these tariffs, particularly with Canada, has raised eyebrows. The tariffs on Canadian goods went into effect immediately, while the implementation date for Mexico and China remains unclear. This discrepancy has fueled speculation about the true motivations behind these trade actions. For consumers, the most immediate and tangible impact of tariffs is rising prices. When tariffs are imposed, the cost of imported goods increases. Businesses, faced with higher import costs, often pass these costs on to consumers in the form of higher prices. The current round of tariffs is expected to impact a wide range of consumer goods. Vehicles, electronics, produce, lumber, and even alcohol are likely to see price hikes. The agricultural sector in particular is a cause for concern. Food prices have already surged by 25% over the past 4 years, and these tariffs threaten to exacerbate the situation. Consumers, already grappling with rising living costs, will feel the pinch of these tariffs in their wallets. The impact of tariffs on businesses is far-reaching and potentially devastating. For businesses that rely on imported goods, higher tariffs translate into higher operating costs. These increased costs can squeeze profit margins, forcing businesses to make difficult choices. Some businesses may attempt to absorb these costs, but others may have no choice but to raise prices, potentially losing customers in the process. In extreme cases, businesses may be forced to lay off workers or even shut down entirely. The uncertainty created by tariffs can also stifle investment and economic growth. Section 5. Broken links. Supply chain disruptions. Beyond the immediate impact on prices and business operations, tariffs also have the potential to disrupt established supply chains. The North American auto industry in particular is highly integrated. Parts and vehicles often cross borders multiple times during the manufacturing process. Tariffs on Canadian and Mexican auto parts can disrupt this intricate network, leading to production delays, higher costs, and potential job losses. The auto industry is just one example of how tariffs can unravel the complex web of global trade, with ripple effects felt across multiple sectors and economies. Section 6. A trade war by any other name: retaliation. Trade wars are rarely one-sided affairs. When one country imposes tariffs, others often retaliate with their own trade barriers. Canada and Mexico have both vowed to retaliate against the U.S. tariffs. These retaliatory measures could target sensitive U.S. industries such as agriculture, manufacturing, and energy. For example, Canada could impose tariffs on U.S. agricultural products, hurting American farmers who rely on exports to Canada. Mexico could target U.S. manufactured goods, potentially leading to job losses in the U.S. manufacturing sector. Retaliatory tariffs can escalate trade tensions, leading to a downward spiral of protectionism and economic harm. Section 7. USMCA under fire. The imposition of tariffs by the United States directly undermines the spirit and intent of the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, or USMCA. This trade agreement, which replaced the North American Free Trade Agreement known as NAFTA, was designed to facilitate free trade between the three countries. The agreement aimed to reduce trade barriers, promote investment, and foster economic growth in North America. By imposing tariffs, the United States is effectively backtracking on its commitments under the USMCA. This move casts a shadow over the future of the agreement and raises concerns about the U.S.'s commitment to free trade principles. Section 8 Sector by sector, a cascade of consequences. The impact of tariffs is not limited to a single industry or sector. The interconnected nature of the global economy means that tariffs can have cascading effects across multiple sectors. In the food and agriculture sector, tariffs on Mexican produce, such as tomatoes, avocados, berries, and peppers, will likely lead to higher grocery bills for consumers. Tariffs on Canadian grain and livestock could also impact food prices. The energy sector is also affected, with the 10% tariff on Canadian energy potentially leading to higher fuel prices, particularly in the Midwest, which relies heavily on Canadian energy imports. The steel and aluminum industries are also feeling the pinch, with tariffs on Canadian and Mexican steel and aluminum impacting industries that rely on these materials, such as automaking, oil production, and construction. The housing and construction industries are also facing challenges due to tariffs. Tariffs on Canadian lumber have already contributed to soaring lumber prices, making it more expensive to build homes. This situation exacerbates the affordability crisis in the housing market. Even everyday consumer goods are not immune to the impact of tariffs. Tariffs on Chinese electronics, toys, appliances, and footwear will likely lead to higher prices for these goods, impacting household budgets across the country. GAP 3S, Section 9. A temporary reprieve. The US, Mexico, and Canada have agreed to postpone tariffs for 30 days. This decision comes with a promise to help each other in the fight against drugs, arms trafficking, and immigration. But what does this temporary reprieve mean for the future of trade relations between these countries? GAP 1S. This agreement provides a brief window of relief for businesses and consumers who have been bracing for the economic impact of the tariffs. It also signals a willingness among the three nations to collaborate on broader issues that affect the region. However, the postponement is just that, a delay, not a resolution. GAP 1S. During these 30 days, negotiators will be working tirelessly to find a long-term solution that addresses the underlying issues driving the tariffs. The stakes are high. Failure to reach an agreement could mean the tariffs go into effect, reigniting tensions and causing further economic disruption. GAP 1S. On the other hand, a successful negotiation could pave the way for a more stable and cooperative trade environment. It could also strengthen the trilateral relationship, making it easier to tackle other pressing issues such as drug trafficking and immigration in a unified manner. GAP 1S. As the clock ticks down, businesses, consumers, and policymakers alike will be watching closely. The outcome of these negotiations could set the tone for trade relations in North America for years to come. GAP 1S. Will this temporary reprieve lead to a lasting solution, or will it merely delay the inevitable clash? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. The next 30 days are crucial for the future of trade in North America. Section 9. The Politics of Protectionism. A look ahead. The recent tariffs imposed by the Trump administration are part of a broader pattern of protectionist trade policies. President Trump has long advocated for protectionist measures, arguing that they are necessary to protect American jobs and industries from unfair foreign competition. However, economists generally agree that protectionist policies such as tariffs ultimately harm the economy by raising prices for consumers, hurting businesses, and hindering economic growth. The long-term impact of these tariffs remains uncertain. The outcome will depend on a number of factors, including the duration of the tariffs, the response of other countries, and the willingness of the U.S. to engage in meaningful trade negotiations. If the tariffs remain in place for an extended period and escalate into a full-blown trade war, the economic consequences could be severe. Businesses and consumers in all three countries will need to adapt to the changing trade landscape, and the global economy could face significant disruption. The situation highlights the importance of international cooperation and the need for a rules-based trading system to ensure a stable and prosperous global economy.